And we are live. Hi, everyone. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I missed you. It's been a weekend, so obviously we haven't had the health show. But for those of you who join us today, I've decided to take things a little bit more seriously this week and talk about topics that really, really matter. So I hope we get loads of people joining. I hope loads of people start asking questions, and I hope I have the answers. What I'm going to do is allow all the comments, so people should be able to comment now. Just going to put a link here for myself. Awesome, awesome, awesome. How is everyone doing? Tell me where you guys joining from, where you're listening from. Today's topic is going to be, as you can see, why some, probably most diets don't actually work, and how some diets can actually have the negative effect, especially if it's to do with weight loss. But I don't want to just talk about weight loss today. I know it's a topic that it's somewhat controversial, but I want to talk about health in general and vitality. And I want to ask you this question. We'll start from this. Remember what happened last time you went on a diet? Or remember what happened to someone like your friend or family who went on a diet? And I just want you to think about it for 5 seconds. And before we jump into the deep end, thanks, Mags. Mags is saying my hair looks lovely. It's not my fault. It's my girlfriend. She knows how to do this on the lockdown. We always wonder if we got lucky this one time, but we'll see. Next one is next week. But anyways, let's talk about diet, because I really want to take this topic seriously. This is going to be something that I want your help with, and I want you guys to get involved. But if you stay until the end, I have 2 things to share with you. Number one is what I think should be a balanced diet, or an accepted diet. Brackets, I hate the term diet, by the way. And the second thing I want to share with you is actually what I came up with that I think will help a lot of people to distinguish, just to get rid of all the crap out there and all the noise, because there's just so much information. And if you type in the word diet on Google, it's going to be crazily overwhelming. Okay, so just think about what happened the last time you tried to go on a diet. And in the meantime, I'm going to try and define what a diet actually is, because I looked it up yesterday, and the term on the Cambridge Dictionary has actually been updated about 5 days ago. And they say that a diet is an eating plan in which something that you eat, whether it's your food or the drink or a particular type of food group, is eaten because someone wants to get thinner or for medical reasons. You know, it's just an example like I want to lose 10 kilograms because I have a wedding coming up, or I want to get thinner to be able to fit in my dress for a specific event I have coming up in 3 months. Okay, so that's like now you know the definition of diet. And it wasn't always like this, by the way. This, I think, this whole kind of diet word has become a little bit of a stigma, and it has a bad stigma to it. And going back to the question I asked you guys, what happened the last time you went on a diet? And I don't really mean did you lose weight? Because that should be quite simple principle, especially when it comes to dieting, right? I mean, did you lose the weight and did you sustain it? I mean, did you develop a healthy relationship with your food whilst you're on a diet? Were you happy whilst you're on a diet? Were you vibrant? What were the benefits versus the negatives that you developed? That's the kind of stuff I actually mean, because everyone can lose weight in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks if we understand the principles behind weight loss. But I just want you to know, like, did you, and these are just questions to ask yourself, did you feel satisfied with the results? And how are you feeling now compared to when you were doing the diet? That's what I want to go into today. That's why I want to go really deep into this this topic. Max is saying, I'm done with diets. I just eat healthy and exercise now. Awesome, Mags. I really appreciate that. And that's the whole thing. We need to define what eating healthy is. And I'll give you a few clues in a minute. But today I want to go quite deep in this topic. And of course, I understand that when it comes to diets, I totally appreciate that. I get it. Some people need to be on a diet for medical reasons. They need to be on a specific restrictive dieting protocol. If you have a specific condition, or if you've been diagnosed with something, you know, like diabetes or IBS or those kind of stuff, yes, of course, people need to go on diets, and usually they're recommended by your health practitioner, by your doctor, by your physician, or whoever. And in fact, that's where diets actually started. Is when medicine started to put people on very restrictive nutritional needs because those people had specific conditions. But now what's happened over time is the mainstream media and magazines and health gurus have developed this kind of concept of dieting, and they've just repackaged it, and they're trying to sell it to everyone. They're trying to put it out there like it's the, and we're not stupid. There is like a new diet every single week out there. There's a new magic pill. There's a new supplement to burn fat. So I just want to debunk some of those myths today and actually talk about what do we eat to be healthy and to sustain it and to stay happy. They're the three main things we need to talk about today. Who's in agreement with me, right? Does that make sense, what I've said so far? Because I don't want to be talking about this for the next 5-10 minutes and people are not really getting it. Awesome. Cool, guys. If you're joining, by the way, we're talking about how diets can actually make you put on weight, make you more unhealthy and more unhappy. Dan is saying less indigestion when I cut out the rubbish food. Since the lockdown, I haven't restricted anything, that now I feel rough and tired and loads of indigestion. Oh, Dan, give me a call later, buddy. We need to talk about this. But this is a whole point of restricting something. And I'll tell you why. We know that health professionals are actually openly talking about this now, and the public knows that diets don't work. And why they don't work? Well, it's quite actually easy. It's quite simple. It's because it goes against your body's natural abilities to go throughout a lot of time, long periods of time without food. It's just evolution. Our bodies are not designed to go to be restricted because they go in this survival mode, and every time you give them something, you just put it straight back on. It just goes completely against our DNA and how we've evolved over millions of years. We're always trying to fight nature, but nature always wins. Let me explain what I mean by that. There is a few different reasons. I've outlined probably 4 or 5 for you why diets actually don't work. Number one is when it comes to weight loss and when it comes to dieting, the weight loss is actually just temporarily. Actually, if you look at the vast majority of people who lose the weight, they put it back on. And it's something like, this is crazy, by the way, 60% of people who go on a diet and lose the weight, those 60% of people put it back on, and they put more on compared to what they started on. How mad is that? So that one number of 60% is such a scary number to think about when considering going on a diet. And I'm not here to say go on a diet or don't go on a diet. I'm just sharing my experience and my knowledge and what my belief system is. You guys obviously are adults. I'm not anyone's parent to tell you what to do or not to do. Does that make sense? Awesome. So that's the number one reason. If you lose the weight, you're actually more likely to put it on after the diet stops, and you're more likely to put more weight compared to what you first started. The second principle why diets don't necessarily work that well is actually because they trick your brain. They trick your brain to think that food is something that you shouldn't have. It's like a treat, it's restrictive. So from evolutionary perspective, we had to eat in order to survive. We had to eat to live. Now I think a lot of people kind of live to eat, which is a whole new concept, but we just needed that food for energy. That was it. And then that energy was used for survival and reproduction. And then you move on. Humans are so simple, but we constantly make things so complicated. Does that make sense? So if you're restricting your brain from something, and then as soon as your brain starts to think, oh my goodness, I'm in short supply of this particular food. Let's say your doctor said, let's say your friend said, I went to this amazing diet but I'm not allowed to have this, and I'm just juicing every single morning. And then you see someone eating an ice cream or pizza and you think, Jesus Christ, man, like I can't have that. As soon as you say that I cannot have that, guess what happens when you stop the diet? Because sooner or later, diets are not sustainable. You got to stop it. The brain goes straight to that survival mode, and you just start to eat as much as you can from that specific food that you weren't allowed to have. So that's why I said nature always wins. Your brain, the way your body and your brain are wired, it will always create more results in the long term compared to a short-term diet. Also, there's another thing when it comes to dieting. I'm not going to bore you too much. I'll give you the practical stuff in a minute, but this is important to get. When you go on a specific diet, it actually really messes up with your satisfaction and your hunger hormones. So I was actually testing my girlfriend on this earlier, and I said I've created this new document for people. It's going to go live in a couple of weeks, and I've created 5 hacks how to make sure that you burn fat for quicker. And we were trying to figure out kind of what are the hormones that make you hungry and make you satisfied. And what happens is when you go through um, these weight loss diets or these restrictive diets, they basically are responsible for losing the weight. But what that means is those hormones that are responsible to keep you full for longer drop, and those hormones that actually make you feel hungry increase. So in the short term, you lose the weight, but in the long term, it completely changes how your body's natural ability is, which is so mad. But again, us as human beings, we're so wired to think short term. We just want that quick win. Oh, I just want to lose the weight and I'll be fine. Or, oh, I'm going on a new diet next time. And then I've got another holiday coming up and I'll just go on another diet. And in the meantime, we're not really aware of what relationship do we develop with the food we eat. And the final 5th one, which I think is actually really important, and this is the one that people understand, and I can explain it quite clearly, is simply going on restrictive diets for a long term actually causes slowing down of your metabolism. And as you know, your metabolism is the thing that keeps burning calories for you, and it keeps like hormonal balances and that kind of stuff. But having a restrictive diet means that any calories that you eat after you've stopped the diets just need to be absorbed quicker and more effectively. Because again, your brain thinks, well, I've been put in starvation mode. You give me one piece of chocolate, boom, I'll have that, and I'll store it as energy, I'll store it as fat. So it's really, really important to understand how the body works. How many of you is this making sense to so far? I want you to say yes or no in the comments. Max is saying, oh my God, this is so true. Tell me about it. I've been banging on about this for years now, but now the science is coming out and there's really clear studies saying when it comes to diets, short term, yes, you can lose some weight. Long term, it doesn't work. And actually, it can create more issues. So how do we change this approach? Why do I keep talking about this stuff every single day on social medias? Well, because obviously something needs to change. And the number one thing we need to be concerned about is how do we change our thoughts and our behavior with relationship to food? Not just to say, here we go, Stefan gave me another diet and I'll just follow it. You need to understand why you want to be healthier. Dan, you need to understand, why do I want better digestion? Do I want to feel sluggish and not have enough time and energy to play with my kids? These are the real reasons you guys need to be asking yourself the questions, what is my why? And this is why with this program above me, the Better Brain System, we always start with working with people to tell them, listen, it's probably not to do with you wanting to lose weight. A lot of it's probably much, much deeper. I'll use my mom as an example. I hope she doesn't mind, but she just wasn't feeling happy. It wasn't that she was putting weight on. It wasn't that she couldn't fit in the dress. She was telling herself those things. But then when we started to actually understand why do people want to lose weight, it's much deeper. It's to do with just feeling appreciated, just wanting less aches and pains, just wanting to have more quality time with my grandkids one day or have better quality of life. Because when this reason is big enough for you to lose the weight or to get healthier, then you don't have to go on a restrictive diet. You can just develop a lifestyle that is really good for you and you enjoy it. Because that's the second point I want to talk about. It's, first of all, yes, we need to understand why we want to get healthier. The second one, and this is something I'll never forget, I was interviewing quite a famous nutritionist in Bristol, and she's appeared in loads of shows and loads of health podcasts and on Sky News. And she told me this one thing. She was like, what do you think people's relationship is like with food? And I was like, at the time I was in my mid-20s, I didn't really think about relationship in food. I was just thinking of other relationships. But when you start to realize that you need to treat food and the relationship you have with your food, just like any relationship, with respect, you need to be consistent, you need to put effort in, then you realize that actually, if I have something which was naughty, I shouldn't feel guilty about it. I have good relationship with myself and my food. Does that make sense? Awesome, awesome. We're almost there, but I think, like I said to you, this week the topics will be much more serious, but I think that will impact people to a much bigger level. So secondly, make sure you have good relationship with your food. I think being happy and being less stressed is always more important and healthier than being stressed, being grumpy, and eating vegetables all the time. Let's face it, you've got to get that balance. Life and health are all about balance, which is actually my next point. If you guys haven't watched my tutorial about the 80-20 principle, go and find it somewhere on YouTube. We call it the 80-20 principle because basically you get a lot of disproportionate, how do I say it? Just being cautious of how much good stuff you do versus how much negative stuff you put in your body. So for example, if I have, let's say, 3 meals a day for 7 days in a week, that's 21 meals. If 18, 19 of those meals were pretty healthy and I was happy with them, and those 1, 2, 3, 4 meals were unhealthy, who cares? Don't be harsh on yourself. It's really, really important to develop this good relationship with food, because otherwise you'll constantly feel stressed, you'll constantly feel like you're guilty and you're judging yourself. And health is not about that. And that's one of the biggest reasons I think diets don't work. Only then you can start thinking about the boring stuff, you know, your macronutrients, your micronutrients. People like counting calories and all that stuff. Only then you are healthy enough in the mind and in the body to make that change. Does that make sense? I want you guys to give me your biggest like aha moment. Like, have you thought of it this way before, or have you just followed something that you read online or something that someone told you? Awesome. So obviously, let's give you some practical tips on what is good to eat. And in my opinion, and again, I'm not a medical doctor, and I just think these are the things that have worked really well for me. And I've seen people around me that have really changed their lifestyle, and I'm really happy for that. But always starts with just the simple things. Don't eat processed foods. Don't eat things that don't grow from the ground, or don't grow from the trees, or don't fall from the trees, right? So eat organic, fresh, local produce. When the shops start to reopen again, there's really, really cool like corner shops with all the vegetables and the fruits outside. We had loads of cool little places like that when I used to live in Leigh-on-Sea. Damn those all the places where they just have fresh produce, as opposed to something that is being packaged and is best until next year. It's just not quite right. So drop the processed foods, reduce the sugar, just try to eat fresh organic produce, eat loads and loads of veggies. So your diet should be mainly plant-based food, because that is so good for your body. It's not just about reducing the bad stuff, it's about including good stuff in there. And vegetables, you can never go wrong with vegetables. If you have kids, the same principle. But another thing as well is it really depends on how you cook your food. I might have to do another topic on that, by the way, because, for example, you can have a really healthy food as a group, but if you cook it in the wrong way, it can become damaging and it can become inflammatory to your body and to your gut. So then it's not the matter of, is this healthy or not? But it's actually the devil is in the detail. How did you cook it? How did you prepare it? What was the temperature you used? What oil did you use to fry it, to cook it? So these are things that you need to consider when choosing a healthy diet. But what I've decided to do is I've decided to make it really, really simple for you. Are you guys excited? I've got something to share with you. I've made this, it's probably this big, okay? I kid you not, it's just a piece of paper that you can download, or you can save it on your phone, or you can print it if you want. And I called it the last diet you'll ever need. Yes, it's cheesy. I don't really care. I thought about it for a long time and I was like, what is catchy? So apologies in advance. But basically, this piece of paper they've created has 3 different sections. Each section has foods that are healthy for our body naturally, beverages that are healthy, oils, fats, proteins. It has a different section which says these are the foods that should be cautious of. and then it has a section which I've highlighted in red, and it gives you all the different foods and all the different beverages to say, stay that hell away from them, because they will cause issues. Not necessarily in the short term, but in the long term, they're definitely not good for your health. So if you guys want to download it, I will put a link below. It's free of charge. It's just something I've made a while back to actually give me a bit of guidance, but also just picking up from different research papers I've read. What are foods that give us energy? What are foods that are healthy for us? And what are the foods that we should really stay away from? I hope you make the most of it. It's literally a piece of paper. I've made it look all pretty, obviously, but let me see. I'll put it in here and hope it works. If it doesn't, you can just drop me a message. And again, I know I've taken a little bit longer today, but I just get super excited about this. Also, for those of you who are interested, we have the first live, what I call web class or workshop. And again, there's no charge. It's just me talking for an hour, but going much deeper into this stuff. And it's going to be a bit more professional. And this is happening next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Please remind me, because I don't have the link now. Please remind me to put the link underneath. If you guys want to get registered, you can do that over the next few days. I'm sure there will be some spaces available still. I'm limiting the numbers because I know that when we get loads and loads of people, the connection is not the same. And that will give me a little bit more time to answer your questions at the end of the talk. And it's all going to be about how to boost your health during the lockdown and beyond. And there will be principles that have worked really well for me, and I found work well for family and friends. So hope you guys are excited. Again, I would love you to get involved with this. And some of you have been sending me questions before the show. Thank you for doing that. And if you like the videos, share them. Tell me what is the biggest aha moment, the biggest click that you got today. And love and appreciate you guys. Like I said, if you have any questions, drop me a message. Peace out, and I'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock. We've got a big topic coming up. Bye-bye.